Great, okay. I'm not going to keep you from your coffee too long. We're breaking about 10, 15 minutes, but I wanted to just quickly show you some of the things that are happening in the marketplace that we see. Obviously, we deal internally with our Sitecore customers and partners in the UK, but we also have quite a lot to do with our counterparts in other regions as well. So I spent a few minutes on this last time, but I thought it was worth just updating it slightly and just showing you the kind of things that other customers are doing. A lot of it might be appropriate to things that you're planning or doing at the moment. Some of it may not be so relevant, but we often bring a lot of this into the meetings that we have with our customers. So you've probably seen this before. The customer experience maturity model. We developed this with Gartner and we updated it last year with a few more bits and pieces. We have a whole load of information that sits below this model as well. So, for example, if you are looking at planning your digital maturity, planning how you're going to adopt more of the Sitecore product and start to use things like personalization, A/B testing, email campaign manager, predictive personalization, all that sort of stuff. We've got a whole load of information about the tools, resources, skills, time, and activities you should be thinking about doing in order to move from one stage to the next. So this is the high-level view. If you want to see everything that sits beyond this, then we're more than happy to provide it. And indeed, we actually frame quite a few of our meetings and conversations with customers around this, and they often use us to sell back internally as well to their internal clients and within the business. So it's really based on three stages: attract, convert, and advocate along the bottom there. Attract being how do we get people to our website in the first place, and then obviously moving on to how we convert them into to interacting with a goal on our website, and then how do we make them lifetime customers? How do we make them advocate for us? So those are the three stages across the bottom, and we've obviously split the stages up into micro stages between those as well. And then obviously on the left-hand side, the strategic value that each of those stages has to us. And I wanted to share some global marketplace view. Has anyone here actually done the maturity assessment that we've been sort of talking about putting out in the marketplace for a while? A couple of people? If you haven't had the chance to do it, we can send you the link to it. It's quite a nice way of selecting which activities and measurements and analysis you're currently doing within your organization to measure how mature you are. And that will place you within one of the stages within the maturity model. So we found that a huge proportion of our customers last year, about 85% to be precise, were still in the stages of initiate, radiate, initiate or radiate. Which is essentially where you basically got a website, you're doing monthly Google Analytics reports, but perhaps you're not doing much with that information. And you're certainly not aligned with things like business objectives, you're not doing personalization, you're not testing much to do optimization of content. And only 3.2% of customers, I think, they believe that they were actually really aligned with what the business is trying to achieve. So like I said before in my last presentation, going beyond the idea of just having number of clicks to the website, dwell times, bounce rates, that sort of stuff, and actually thinking about what difference are we making to the bottom line of our business? Are we reducing the cost of the organization? Are we increasing profit? Are we achieving what actually we want to achieve strategically by the kind of things that we can influence within our teams? And then we went on to have a look at maturity by industry, and that's probably not massively clear on that screen there. We can share this around. But this is the same statistics by sector. So again, looking at all those different stages that we got in the maturity model and seeing where each industry was. And it was quite interesting. A couple of points and notes on here. Travel is quite a mature industry. For customer experience management. You've probably seen a lot of presentations we've done previously for things like Monarch and EasyJet and so on. Ski Weekends is also going to be presenting later on with their partner Sagittarius, so they'll be telling a bit more about how they're doing that as well. Manufacturing is also another one where the customer experience is actually quite advanced. And that's something we also see within our B2B customers, where you've got that the ability to start getting quite granular data about single individual customers and also their businesses, and then be able to personalize their experience across channels based on the information you're capturing. Whereas with the B2C organization, you're looking more of an aggregate level of the data you're collecting. But the ones who are doing this well are making a difference. And the ones who are doing it well are also the ones who have probably got a lot more senior level and board involvement, and maybe even chief exec involvement in their digital strategy. And again, if you saw a white paper we released last year, it talked about the impact of CEO influence on digital strategy and overall company performance. And this is something that we've seen reflected in the ability to execute some of this stuff within our customers as well. If you don't have buy-in, then the model and the process around it becomes a lot more difficult to achieve in terms of changing organizational behavior and other teams you work with. But the good news is we're starting to see that improve, and we have got a lot more customers now starting to move this year towards the align stage. So whereas last year we were going to customers, we were talking a lot about KPIs of the site and the team, so the digital team, what it is that you're trying to achieve. And all the responses we got were things like Facebook shares, again, these click rates, bounce, and all that sort of stuff. What we're starting to see now is that those KPIs are being much more aligned to what the businesses are trying to achieve. So reducing cost of customer effort that I was talking about earlier, reducing the administration overhead of sending out email campaigns to segmented users. All these sort of things are now starting to factor into the KPIs that teams are starting to measure themselves against. And we have a few customers who are starting to do that by looking at how they can connect the experience across channels to begin with. So, for example, Chester Zoo is a great example. You may have seen a case study that it's been out for about 6-7 months now, talking about how they've moved from just having a desktop site to having a mobile site. Again, something that perhaps isn't particularly new. A lot of our customers are still trying to get to grips with mobile sites, but actually they've done it very well. They've had a single experience. So they haven't just dumped a website on a mobile. They've actually thought about what users are going to be looking at when they go to the zoo, the kind of attractions, tickets, events, directions, those sort of things that are going to make a difference to people. So they're not particularly doing anything around personalization, marketing automation, or anything like that. But what they are looking at is how they can have an experience that matches the website once it uses at the zoo itself. I wanted to move on to looking at Optimize, which is where we've got a couple of customers starting to do more of this as well. So this is where we've already got the objectives of the organization aligned to the objectives of the website. And we're maybe starting to do some of the A/B testing. But perhaps we're also successfully now starting to optimize content based on, again, those business objectives that we've aligned our team to. And a great example we've got of this is Auckland Airport. Now, as you know, airports are a shopping mecca, if that's the sort of thing you're into. And a lot of airports, if you go to the websites, what you're looking at is things like options for car parking, you're looking at options for VIP lounges, departures, arrivals, all that sort of stuff. What Auckland Airport realized was that actually their biggest channel for revenue and profit was through their retail channel. And it was horrendously underserviced on their website. And so what they wanted to look at was how could they be quite clever about starting to personalize the user's experience through the website to drive more footfall to the retail channel. And again, it's a perfect example of how actually previously they just had a pretty flat website with arrivals and departures. They're now starting to think about how can we make some money out of the site? How do we drive our business through what we're doing? And they did quite a few things. So they implemented search and campaign rules. So if you click on an advert for Auckland Airport on a beauty website, for example, down in New Zealand, and you come through to the Auckland Airport homepage, they will start to promote lots of beauty-related content to you, and they'll start to promote inquiries to some of the retailers that are operating within Auckland Airport that have those sort of products and services available. They also have marketing automation for premium services. So say, for example, they know that you're on a domestic flight or an international flight based on content you're looking at or information you've given them, or they know that you've already booked, say, a VIP lounge, then they can start to churn out marketing automated messages to those users to say, well, okay, if someone's booked an international flight, then why not try to upsell them a premium lounge, because obviously they've got a long flight ahead of them and so on. And the other thing they can do is try to improve the experience of the customer as well. So if they know roughly when you're going to be traveling or when you're going to be in the airport, then they can start to fire off messages that just improve the experience. So for example, they might say, what they do say, if you're traveling within 2 days, they'll send you directions to the airport. They might offer you options for parking, just things like that. So it doesn't all have to be upsell. I mean, this is also about how do we ensure that the customer is getting a good experience and having perhaps questions answered like parking before they've even thought about asking it. Nissan is another great example. This is Nissan over in Korea, I believe. And again, they're doing some nice personalization. Again, very, very simple in some respects. So they are personalizing, if you come into their site from a PPC campaign for Nissan Patrol, then the homepage experience you get will be focused towards the Nissan Patrol as opposed to the usual sort of range-based imagery that they'll display on the site. They can also start to map you as being a certain type of user. So for example, if you know you're looking for a family car, then they can start to track your journey as being someone who's interested in family vehicles. As we move up, the next stage we're going to look at is where we're starting to do more nurturing of customers. So once we've got people into our site, what are we doing to nurture them through to conversion? And again, this is something that Ski Weekends has done pretty well. We're going to see that a bit later on today. But how can we take the user from that acquisition cycle and turn them into someone who's actually going to buy from us? An Australian Super is a great example of going beyond acquisition and thinking more about actually what do you do when you've got those customers? How do you service them better? Again, going back to what I was talking about earlier about how you reduce the cost of effort of a customer dealing with you, as well as trying to drive the imperatives that the business is trying to achieve as well. So Australian Super, again, do a couple of things. If you go onto their website, they are obviously a provider of retirement products. If you go onto their website, start to look at retirement content from, for example, a domestic user, and when you go back to the homepage, you'll see more domestic retirement content and calls to action based there. But what they also do is something quite clever. So they have life stage-based personalization. So if they know you're approaching age of retirement and they've already got you as a customer who's looking at other products that they sell, then they can start to target you with content and messaging, whether it's through the website or whether it's through email campaigns externally or whatever it might be. They can start to target you based on your life stage. So again, they can use that for an upsell and cross-sell experience. But they can also allow you to do a lot more self-service as well. So they saw something like a 60% increase in self-service simply by making things like explicit personalization based on member data more apparent to users when they log in. So say, for example, if they know you're a low-risk user, a high-risk user, a family user, someone who's divorced, widowed, whatever, again, then they can start to use that content to make your experience a lot more relevant when you log into their self-service area. And that's, like I said, resulted in an increase of about 60% in the number of people who are doing self-service, which again, going back to the conversation about business alignment, means that their call center costs are much lower, their cost to respond to emails is much lower, customers are doing a lot more of that online. And the final stage is really the engage stage. And this is an interesting case study, and this, I only came across this about 2-3 weeks ago, so this is the first time I've really sort of spoken about it in front of an audience, but just so Leo Pharma is a multinational patient care company based over in the Netherlands, I believe. And they have implemented a huge amount, in fact, just about every component of Sitecore to, again, improve customer experience, cut costs, improve customer service, and so on. So they're using engagement analytics, they're using rules-based personalization, they're using engagement automation, email campaign manager, and what John was talking about earlier, they're also using print experience manager. So if you've ever signed up for health insurance, you will know that you tend to get fairly hefty documents through from these companies. Leo Pharma had the same problem, and one of their imperatives for business was try to reduce the cost of print and also manage it from one system, which in this case was Sitecore, as opposed to having long approval processes, long print processes. Simply store all the content within Sitecore and then print out only what's relevant to a customer based on their self-selected choices. I don't have many screenshots for this. In fact, I don't have any screenshots for this to be precise, but what I can tell you is what they're doing. So they, again, have a lot to do with self-service. So you can go onto their website, you can self-select the kind of patient you are, what you're interested in, the kind of services you want. They can also combine that with data to the kind of packages that you're signed up to, again, to personalize your experience. So you can self-select, they can self-select as patients what their needs are in different points of the journey, which means that they're always getting something that's relevant to them when they log onto the website. But what they can also do is tie that information to offline activities as well. So they have a big call center operation. All the information they're storing about users from the website, so based on their browsing behavior, based on self-selected data, all that information is stored within a CRM system, which in turn is shared between not only the website, but also with their call center staff, with their offline marketing teams and everything else. So that all the communications that are going out to their customers, every touch point they have with customers, every interaction, all the materials they're providing is all totally relevant to those customers based on the information that they're storing and sharing from Sitecore. And again, that data is being shared back into Sitecore as well. So all the information that's captured from, for example, a call center call can be used to update the user's preferences on the website. So again, next time they come in, and you're going to hear the word experience quite a bit today, so I apologize, it's going to update their experience. again, it's a lot more relevant to what they want. So again, Neopharma is probably a top example at the moment of a customer who's really going out there and using the full package available to them in Sitecore and starting to see huge business benefit. I think one of the results they've seen of implementing Print Experience Manager was something like a 30-ton reduction in print in terms of paper weight. So again, it's a great success story, and we're hoping to see a couple of these in the UK over the next 12 months as well. And just a couple more things I wanted to talk about before we break. And this is based on the kind of conversations we have with customers and partners about getting started with the DMS. So what is blocking getting started with personalization, being quite agile about just applying a couple of personalization rules, getting going in marketing automation, this sort of stuff. And at the very top, we saw that a lack of model and process was probably the biggest thing that was holding this up. The others on that list, there's not a huge amount we can do about from our side. But there's one thing that your partners and us within Sitecore with our business optimization services team can help you with is how you go about defining a model and process to start getting going with this. So using perhaps something like the maturity assessment and the maturity model as a baseline, and then working out how you can then put processes, time, resources, activities around what you need to do in order to move from one stage to the next. And we've got a huge amount of materials, examples, structures and frameworks about how you start looking at quick wins, how you start looking at the medium and long-term gains as well. And again, we've got customers who are doing this right now in the UK. And we start these conversations by taking a step back and looking right from the very beginning, what's the core purpose of our website? And it's something that's easy, I think, to lose sight of when you're doing this day in, day out, and you're constantly dealing with project work and everything else. It's to actually think about what is it we're trying to achieve with our website beyond trying to get all our departments to have a bit of real estate on our homepage. Actually, what is it there for? Is it to improve the experience of our customers? Is it to make money? What is it there to do? And then how we align to what our business objectives are doing. And then we go through the process of how we then measure that. So what are our KPIs? And also, if we've got different teams and different technologies within the company, are we all aligned in what we're trying to achieve? Because we can't measure the value of goals and interactions on our site unless everybody in the company and organization is aligned to those as well. So that should really be driving the behavior, and then that allows us to start looking at how we can move through that structure and process. So the key takeaways I'll just sort of say before I hand off is, like I said, assess your maturity. We've got the digital maturity assessment tools available to you, so you're more than welcome to take those, put them out yourselves, assess where you are on that maturity model, and then take that back to the business, or take it to your partner, or bring it to us and say, well, how do we do this? What do we do next? What's our quick wins? How can we do this quite agilely? And also maybe a little bit under the radar as well, which is how many of our customers have been quite successful with it. Utilize that as a current stake in the ground, then align and prepare a business case. Again, we can help you to do that. We have a lot of examples around the world of people who are doing personalization, marketing automation, the ROI stories that they can tell as well. So again, we can feed that back into your business cases. Look at what we can do in the short term, and then what we can do in terms of long-term planning. How do we align things like our CRM strategy to what we're trying to do with the website and so on. And really, we're just here to support you. I mean, we love to take calls from customers and partners asking us for assistance with this. So please do call on us. Let us know how we can help. We're going to be here all day. There's a load of people from Sitecore in the room, probably as many as customers and partners, I think, today. And just to have a chat with us, and we will help where we can and do everything we can to support you. And that's really it before coffee, unless anyone's got any questions. Good. Okay, we'll break for coffee, and I think we're coming back here in about 15 minutes. Thank you.